Just gone 11 on a Friday, time for gardening. We're down to earth with Catherine from Katie's Garden. Good morning, hello. What a wonderful day for gardening, isn't it? Eh? Oh.
Oh, you know how us gardeners love to have a moan. We're never happy about the weather. Right. So never mind all this sunshine. Where's the rain? I want some rain. Too dry now.
Well, we're not here to talk about the weather. We're here to talk about gardening, which is more important. Today we've got a good theme, raised beds, and this... We're tackling it from different angles today, aren't we? Let's talk first about what's happened at Katie's Garden, because I am so excited about what you're doing there.
I am as well. If I had less dignity, I'd be clapping my hands together and going, yay, new project. But of course, I have too much gravitas for that. So
it's amazing what you're doing, because before you tell us what it is, it's in between a trial garden, a show garden, and it's actually explaining your skills to your customers. You're linking up the grower with the customer, aren't you? You're bringing it all the way through, the nurseryman all the way through, so you can see. So tell me about it, what you're doing.
Exactly like you said, it's not just a garden where we're showing off plants that are looking pretty. It's all about trying to educate, sounds a bit boring, but some of it we're going to be learning along with the customers. So we've got lots of different raised beds, and then there's a theme for each of the raised beds, and we're going to change that over the years. It's not just going to be static. So some of them are things like showing off these Chelsea chops and Hampton hacks, showing how you care for plants, how you prune them, and the differences it makes. And some of it's because there's lots of new varieties of plants always come out, and we always like to try them out. So we're going to have, showing off, I think we've got over a dozen different English lavenders, doing the different catnips. So I said, it's all going to be a nice experiment for us. And some of it is, as I said, showing people how to garden, really. So we're hoping, when they haven't got so many COVID restrictions, we might be able to do some demos and sort of, have people gather around and watch. On
the practical side, someone comes into you and says, Catherine, what's the best lavender? You'll say, well, I think it's this one. You'll be able to say, well, we've trialled this one now. Come and have a look. This is what works in. This one grows a bit leggy. This one is lovely. This one needs more water. You'll be able to see and show it. But this isn't in the background. This is so that your customers can see it.
It is. It's going to be the side of the shop house. Make your way through the roses. So we're getting closer and closer now. So we're hoping for a grand opening quite soon now. So
it's not all going to be trial grounds. You're going to have some blousy beds as well, aren't you? You're going to have some good show beds.
We've got our centrepiece one, and that is going to be the designer showcase. So as our first one, it's our substitute. We normally do the Suffolk show. So it's me and my colleague Jill, we normally do that. So it's given us a chance for showing off, and then we're going to have local designers are going to come in. And again, it's going to be, so that will be an idea of plants what look pretty together, basically.
The first one you've designed, oranges and lemons, which is great. How did you start designing a bed? Because a lot of people are going to do these raised beds now, and we're thinking, how do we start? First of all, we've got to start with the proper soil, haven't we? And what's going in there?
Yeah, so the advantage of the raised bed is, I was talking last week about my roundabout planting, which is an example of trying to garden on terrible soil. Raised bed, you're literally rising above the problems. So we've got very sandy, stony soil in Newborn. And so if you've got the raised bed, you're just giving yourself a foot. You can fill it up. Topsoil is the main thing you're using in a raised bed because it's just got the right structure to it. And then we added a bit of compost as well to get a bit of extra nutrients in for the plants to grow. But obviously so much easier. You're not pulling out weeds. There's no roots. There's no rubble. It's nice, perfect conditions. So it's a real treat.
And it's good for people with disabilities. We were talking about this with our Discoverability programme. Raised beds, not only are that you don't have to bend down, but if you've got a good raised bed, you can consider having a wider rim on it where you can sit on there while you're gardening or kneel on there. And that is even better, isn't it?
Definitely. That's what we thought. It saves our backs when we're doing the gardening, and it means that anyone who visits, they're not having to bend down and lean down to enjoy the plants. So it really helps everyone.
I've seen some people turn their borders into raised beds because that makes it higher and better soil, and you get that lovely straight demarcation between your path and your lawn, or your bed and your path. It looks smart as well, doesn't it?
That was definitely we thought, if it's going to be a public area for people walking through, you want to make it nice and neat and tidy. We're not going to be worrying about bits of lawn coming into it, trying to do smart edges or anything like that. People trampling over the edges, we shouldn't have any of that problem.
So it's going to be opening now, is it, for a gentle opening, is it?
Well, we've got the turf coming next week, So we'd really like some rain.
Oh yes,
That's going to struggle to settle in this. And then once that's settled in, then yes, doors are open.
Nurserymen all around the country are really missing Chelsea this year. There's going to be a sort of a Chelsea show at the end of the year, but it won't be the same. Suffolk show is the biggest one for you, surely.
It is. So that was definitely, you're saying about how we chose our plants, because it is for just that short period. You do cheat. It's nice and easy. You kind of go, well, what's going to look good in May? We don't need to worry about what's going to look good in November or something. You're just hitting that one time and having a really fabulous display.
And if you've got a show garden like that at home, a raised bed, a small one, like I did with my small one, you can change that every year or maybe twice a year as well. You don't have to think, oh dear, what I'm going to do, because that's going to be there for years. You can be a bit more flippant, a bit more daring, can't you?
Yes, because that's really nice. It does feel a lot more bite-sized than if it was just in the ground, which again, I think it's because the compost's so easy to work. It's so easy to get the plants in and out. It's not the struggle that it feels like when you're in the ground, and perhaps you're struggling with a soil that gets hard when it's dry and gets all claggy and sticky when it's wet.
And not only you are extending what we do on Felixstowe Radio, we have a good old natter about this on a Friday. We put stuff on social media. You're putting videos up of what you do now as well. So we've got a whole multi media package, haven't we, going here?
We've got all bases covered now.
Yeah, and you
can't miss us.
So people can see what you look like now as well. That's always scary, isn't it? Oh, what does she look like? But I'm
going to have to start brushing my hair at some point.
I love it. Now, can we talk about my raised bed? The one we talked about last week. It is 1 metre 50 by 1 metre 50, and it's 30 centimetres high. And I thought it was just an ordinary bed. I've dug it up. All it is a wall with some slabs underneath. So it is basic shell of a wall, and we're thinking what to do, and I want to do a water feature in there, and I need suggestions. I need some help.
Well, I really like, because I think what you're thinking of doing is not filling the whole thing as a pond.
No.
And I think that's really great, because you're giving yourself a bit of planting space if you do that. And again, I think you were thinking of not doing it in the middle, but having it offset, and that's
yes, if you imagine,
so that's giving you a good size then to plant into.
It's a square frame, this brick wall. I was going to get a smaller square pond. That's the most difficult thing to find. I don't want to put a pond liner in, because they're a lot of faff, and you need to put down carpet and all this. I need a square containers to go in the corner, leaving an L-shaped, look, I'm doing it with my hands, an L-shaped round the side, which we can use for planting. That can either go into containers, or it can go into something funky. Again, it can be a show bed, because it's only about a third of the garden there, a third of the tub, so we can have fun with it. But getting the containers is a difficult thing. But what do I do once I've got it?
Yeah, you might have to be creative. Go to builders merchants, and not necessarily looking for a pond liner. It could be anything.
I've done it. I've even got those things that go under your bed to keep your clothes in. I've been looking at those. Yes. I've been to Jewson's to look at water tanks. I want something. There was a guy in our village said he'll do it, but he said ironmonger, and it's going to cost about £1,000. So no.
No. Well, I think the first thing, if you're putting in a pond feature, is warn your chickens. Because if they've been used to jumping up and scratching around, they're going to be in for a terrible shock. Yeah,
well, no, serve them right. No, they're all right. They're very curious what we're doing, but no. But it's because there's no children around. We don't have to worry about the safety of it, so that's fine. But it's the planting I want to have a bit of fun with, and that we can do so many different ways. Come on, be exciting. How are you going to inspire me?
Well, I thought, because you said you had to have it really bright for your mum before because of her sight. Yeah. So you could go really nice and subtle, go for lots of leafy plants. So, nice grasses, ferns, hostas, make it so not a bright flowery, just a lovely luscious area. And they can be nice as well, because especially the ferns and the hostas, they give you a bit of spill, because that's what I always find tricky on the ponds, is the edging. If it's artificial, it often really shows up around the top. So if you've got them, that will give you a nice bit of overlap.
And having hostas a bit higher up, it gives the slugs a bit more... well, then it's not so easy for them to get to, is it? They have to climb up the wall first, but they will do it.
Yes, I think it'll probably cost you quite a lot to do a copper band all the way around your raised bed. And if you've got the grasses and the or reeds and things, they're really nice. You get the damson cranes, the dragonflies. They always like to come and hang on. So I always like to have them by water because there's always something interesting comes and hangs out. So it's really lovely to see.
Because it would be a pond, I'll get some pond plants in there. But I also want one of those solar fountains. Have you seen them?
Oh, yes.
They are fantastic. They just float on. Because to get electricity out there, it's going to cost a lot of money, isn't it? To dig up the patio, bring it across from the house. But these little solar fountains, they cost about £14-15. Drop them in, and they are so pretty.
It's a nice bit of tech to help out. So you're saying it's a long way for electricity, so I assume it's not near a bedroom window. Because I know people have put fountains in, and they're lying in bed at night. They can hear this trickling water.
No.
There's a lot of trips to the loo because of that.
No, it's well double glazed. So, we put the pictures on our Facebook pages. We're going to have a look, see what ideas come up. But till I find the container, I've got to just hold my horses a little bit. What are you doing this weekend?
It's a good time to be doing the ponds because we don't do anything like that. Katie's garden. A lot of garden centres only do it at this time of year. I know people have been trying to find the plants and things, a few months earlier in the autumn, and they couldn't find anywhere. Lots of places do sell the pond plants at this time of year, and you need to make sure you've got your specialist compost that's low in nutrients, because otherwise you end up with all this algae and all the weed. And you need the special pots as well that have got all the holes in them, so it doesn't all just fill with water and end up stagnant.
We've got a couple of
now's the time to do it.
We have a couple of containers that are full with pond plants, the old wash tubs and things like that. So they're all right. So we can maybe move some of those across. Well, good luck with the new beds, and we'll see you next week.
And we'll look forward to progress on yours.